Hey guys, today is another video with our favorite Ocala realtor, Bree Stair. She's going to be joining us today, and we're going to be having a really fun conversation about people who are moving to Florida, since that's something that we're definitely seeing an overlap on. Hey!
Hi.
Yeah! um, so I was just giving a little brief intro, and sometimes it cuts out when it connects the live feed to you. So today I said we're having a really special episode with Bree Stair. It's a kind of an overlapping thing for both of our industries, that there's a lot of people moving to Florida, and we want, especially in light of everything that's happened this past week, we want to share
Yeah.
some tips, kind of conversationally, for people who are moving to Florida, whether that's from a real estate point of perspective, an interior design perspective, and as a friend. So I'm excited for today's conversation. Welcome, Bree.
Me too. Good morning, good afternoon. How are
Yes. Did I say good morning? It wouldn't shock me if I said good morning.
I feel because the day is kind of like all smushed together already. So I'm very excited about the conversation today.
Or maybe we're just paying attention to our audiences who are moving from other time zones. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So today we're going to share, like, we've prepared. We didn't totally give away every single one of our tips to each other, but so we want to share some of the stuff. We're going to be reacting as if we were having a glass of wine together,
Yeah.
about these types of tips, and just kind of sharing them one at a time. And yeah, I'm excited. Do you want to go first with your first one?
Yes. So since there are so many people moving here to Florida, and a lot of us that are born and raised in Florida are like, why are all these people moving here? And you're from here, you don't think about the fact that Florida doesn't have an income state tax. So a lot of people in California, New York, New Jersey, they do have a state income tax, and it's quite high actually. So when they come to Florida, they're like, wow, it's so cheap here. And it's because they don't have that income tax that other states have. So it's a big reason for why people retire here, and they don't retire up north. So it's a big thing as to why they move to Florida and why there's so many people coming this way.
Yes. Glad to see a lot of people joining us live today. Welcome, welcome. We're excited to have you. Yeah, that is one of the biggest benefits of moving here. Um, I think my first one sort of ties in a little bit in a way. It's kind of like, it's maybe not a salty version of that, but it's that, just because it's a little bit more of a relaxed lifestyle here, you might see the things Floridians do, things in the news that sometimes are jokey, but you know what? Do not assume that people don't have style here. I will say, Florida has some of the wealthiest and most stylish people in the world living here, and I've had the privilege of working with some of them. And I feel like I've worked with some people who want to, like, water down their style when they're moving here from up north, and like they want to get these like cheap gray laminate floors, and I'm just like, no, like, the people have more style here than maybe what you're
Yeah.
expecting. And they come down here and they'll move to like the dead center of the state, and they want their whole house to be this like 1980s beach theme, and I'm just like, maybe not 1980s. That's kind of cool. I could make that work. But like, like 90s beach theme, and I'm like, I don't love that. Um, and I'll have more little interior design things along the way. But that's like my first one, is like, don't feel like you've got to water down your style. Don't think that your style is too loud for Florida, too high fashion,
Yeah.
too sure. Like, oh, we love you. We see you. You will have a friend or two here for sure.
Yeah, no, there is. And I know a lot of people that come from different states, they think the same way. They're like, well, I can't have my lanai looking like that because it's just too bold. And I'm like, no, you can still have what you want. So agreed.
Exactly, exactly. All right, so are we ready for number two?
Yeah, so number two is really important to me, being a big animal lover that I am and having animals of my own. And that's just when you're moving from up north, acclimating your animals to the weather. It's a big difference when this humidity hits you. It only hits, you as a person, but it hits your animals too. So just being aware, if you are going to keep your dogs or your animals as an outdoor pet, just to make sure that you have all the right things for them to be outdoors because it's hot. It's, it's muggy, it's hot. It can be hard for them to breathe and get acclimated to the weather too. So just being aware of it and, helping them however you can. I have a lot of clients that move from up north that ride horses. Most of the time they've already been here, showing, but it's in the winter time. So just noticing when you're moving here full time and you are riding in the summer, it's really hot and it's hard on the horses too. So just getting them acclimated to the bugs, the weather, the heat is really important.
Oh yeah, that's such a great point. And like not leaving your dog in a car, when you're going to
Yeah.
like when I take if I take my dogs with me because that's been like a thing lately. Like if anybody sees me out and about in Ocala, like there's a chance nowadays that like I got two crazy dogs in the car with me and but when I do that, I'm doing like store pickups. Like I'm literally doing chores where I'm like not getting out of my car.
Yeah.
Because I
Well,
mean, even in this season.
yeah, and I love it too because like the new cars they have the key fob, so I just leave the car running the entire time, like
Oh,
AC and everything on. So like yeah, my dogs are living in luxury, and I'm like, I promise my vehicle's on and the AC's on, like everything is good.
can you see why Brie and I are friends?
Yeah,
That
everything's
is
good.
so smart.
Yeah,
That is on my like to manifest in my new car list. Like, oh my god,
yeah, yeah.
yes,
It's
yeah,
great. It's so
because it just
genius
like
the way.
makes me happy. And lots
Yeah.
of horse things allow you to bring your dogs, which is
Oh yeah.
like heaven for me. I'm like, yes, please.
Yes. Yes. Same here. I have
As long as
three.
they're on a leash and they're not going to be awful.
Yeah. But the events and everything like downtown, like for the most part, I would say we're like 80%, 90% dog friendly all throughout Ocala. So it's
Mm,
nice.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so I have stuff about temperature and climate and like where we are too, like related to the heat and whatever. So, and I kind of previewed this one to you is that like number two for me, and I'm a designer. Like number two is like pest control is something you need to be proactive with, but like don't be surprised. Like don't get so surprised that you have a brand new construction home and it's the heat of the summer and you see your first like palmetto bug. Like don't be shocked. Are you shocked? It's like that gif where people are like, are you shocked? Why are you shocked? Don't be shocked.
Yeah.
You're living somewhere that's like basically like the rainforest, depending on what part of the state, what time of year it is.
Yeah.
Like it's going to happen. Chill out. Don't freak out, but
Yeah.
you'll get used to it. Surprisingly, like little funny story. I mean, I've lived in Florida all my life, but I remember when I lived in my apartment, there was a night where a little tiny green frog got into my apartment, and I was such an indoor cat at that point that I could not handle, like, I couldn't sleep because there was this little green frog somewhere in my apartment and I couldn't find it. Where now, like, the green frogs, like, I'll actively, like, do things where I, like, move them so that they don't lose their life. I'll be like, this is a
Oh,
risky spot for you. Like, I don't know, you get used to it. But in terms of pest control, like indoor pest control, though, you do need to be proactive with it. You do need to have a system. If you're having somebody come out and professionally do it for you, great. Get them on a schedule. Get them on a repeat. Don't make yourself have to think about it. But like if you're doing your own pest control, like we are, like just don't be afraid to just go to the local, stores. Like our Tractor Supply helped me out once. I was just like, we randomly have these like I don't know what they're even called, like these like they're not centipedes, but some millipede centipede, and I was just like, what chemical is gonna get them? And they just told me they're like, don't spend the $28 on this one, just get this one that's like $8 and this will cover it. And like I just so appreciate that people do not care here, like it,
yeah.
like just handle it.
Yeah. Well, I also had pest control on my list because obviously people that are moving from out of state, they kind of have a freak out moment like, oh my gosh, you guys have bugs. And I'm like, yes, we have bugs, but knowing what kind of bugs you should be aware of. And not only bugs, but I hear so many people say snakes, alligators, and they worry so much. Specifically, people that I know are farm people and they're moving out into farms are like, what kind of snakes are good and bad. I've lived here in Ocala my entire life. I've never come across a snake that's not a good snake. And there are good snakes. So knowing what kind of snakes are good snakes, garden snakes, corn snakes, you want those guys around because they're going to take care of all your rats, the mice, anything. So knowing the difference between what you need to be aware of and what is good, I think is really important too. Because I have a corn snake in my barn and we're best friends. I love him because I'm terrified of rats. So he takes care of all the hard work and everything. So knowing your kind of pest control and what kind of bugs and critters are good is very important.
Do you have chickens, Bree?
I do not have chickens.
Oh, okay. Because see, we have snakes that come after the chicken eggs, and
So
so
yeah, aware of what kind of animals you guys have is different too. Like
yeah.
I just have horses and dogs. So I want corn snakes because I don't I hate not into them. But knowing what kind of animals you have on your farm too, if you've got chickens
Yeah.
and they're gonna be affected by that, then it's totally different.
Oh yeah, but I kind of like that I'm just opening up and talking like, but we live like more like on like it's like is it we're not sure if it's technically swamp or lake or pond or whatever, but it's a big massive water. And so
Yeah.
of course we're gonna see more. I did, what's funny? I had a when I the one time that I know for sure I saw a water moccasin, it was in my
Yeah.
apartment in like the suburbs area, like literally in
The
back
things
in
that you
Tampa.
be worried about where you're at, and those are bad snakes. Those are snakes you do not want. So
Yeah.
knowing and what they look like is a big deal, and where you live at too.
So
Because I know
two more. Oh, go ahead. Oh, sorry.
some people assume that every snake they see is a bad snake, and I'm like, well, not necessarily.
Well, so the two things on snakes, one, like real quick. So just because they're small doesn't mean they're not poisonous. They're actually more poisonous when they're small. And the way that I've learned is that like, because these poisonous snakes look just like snakes that are just fine. And so what I've learned is if it's a black or a dark brown looking snake and it has a white mouth and it lunges at you, even as like a baby, that's a water moccasin. They also have triangular shaped heads like this, if they have venom pockets. But like the snakes that like their head is the same width as their body, those little critters aren't going to do anything to you. So
Right.
that's
And I
something
wouldn't
that I've learned. I'm not a biologist or anything or a vet, but like
either.
I have learned that.
Yeah, me either. And usually, like corn snakes and garden snakes, they're more afraid of you than really you're afraid of them. So when they
Right.
see you, they want to hide back in their hole. But if they're lunging at you, it's usually not a good snake because I've never had a snake lunge at me. I just have them go hide in their little hole and say, "Okay, leave me alone and let me do my job."
Yeah, it's like it's like strange Florida, but it's also like be aware. It does happen, but yeah, but a lot of times that happens during like the worst months. Like that usually happens for me in like July and August. Like those are the months where you've got to be like A+ on your pest control for sure. And
Yeah.
mothballs is like a quick way to get rid of snakes. Like if you put mothballs out, you won't even identify a snake because they won't be there. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Well,
That was
and
a fun one.
definitely. And when you say July and August, to kind of add on to it, those are the months you see them because it's rainy and bugs are looking for a dry place to go. So the interior of your home tends to be where they want to be at. So that's exactly, a good reason as to why we find in the summer months it's so buggy and you find maybe different critters in your house.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Okay. So the number 3. Are you ready?
So that was my number 3 pest control. We
Oh.
just had
Oh.
this
Got it.
one. Yeah, yeah.
It like all melded together because our minds are so in sync about this. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So my number 3 is that something that's a true rumor about Florida is that we have just like a much more active lifestyle, like for
Yeah.
so many groups of people. There's just really so much to experience. Something that bums me out sometimes is when I have friends who like live here or temporary living here and they sit inside all day in their 4 walls and they complain that there's nothing to do. And I'm just like, oh my God, there's so many things like that are just a road trip away, whether you're into nature, if you're into history, if you're into events, like if you're into music, like whatever you're into, there is so much here. There's so much. And it's a very active lifestyle. If you enjoy being outside, this is a great place to live in general.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I actually overheard someone say when I was eating lunch the other day downtown that Ocala doesn't have enough to do for the seniors. And I was kind of shocked that they said it because I was like, I feel like there's so much because, I will say a lot of things on Facebook or on in Ocala is on Facebook. So if you don't have a Facebook and you're not on groups, sometimes you're not seeing those things. But I mean, the villages is moments away from us. It's not that far. And so is on top of the world. And we do have a retirement community. And it's just, you're not going to know it if you're not involved in it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to come looking for you. Like, you have to go look for it. So I think just like keeping your eyes open and knowing that there are people out there looking for the same thing you're looking for. It's just finding that group of people that are in it because there's things for everybody to do. It's just finding out what there is.
Exactly. Exactly. And that kind of, yes. Oh, go ahead. Oh, so now I think we're on number 4. I have something that ties in with that, but we can wait.
Okay. So my number 4, especially being a realtor, I thought was super important, specifically for people, like we're talking about moving to Florida, is having the proper insurance agent for your auto and home. And obviously the list is endless, your boat, whatever, all the insurance needs. But specifically right now, I want to talk about your auto and home insurance because the rules in different state laws are very different from Florida. So just being aware that when you come to Florida, you don't want the same coverage that you have up north because it's very, very different. And then also being aware of your homeowner's insurance. We do have settlement cracks because it's so hot here, everything expands. So I know a lot of people worry when they see cracks in the concrete, like, oh, I'm going to have a sinkhole soon. But it's normal. It's normal to have those things. But knowing what your insurance does carry, if you do have a sinkhole, what your deductibles are. We have hurricanes, knowing what that's like, understanding what that's like, I think is very important when you're moving from a state that may not have settlement cracks, sinkholes, hurricanes. It's important to know what your coverage is, specifically when you're moving here and you're already worried as it is. Moving into your new home is understanding what you have.
Oh yeah, we forgot to talk about how this video was supposed to be last week and we were detained by a hurricane. It's kind of like very, very much a Florida video. But
yeah, it's kind of
we've both lived here our entire lives and we still like love it and we are like, building our nest here and like if we love it this much, like there's obviously some good things. I found that when I moved from Tampa to moving to like a more rural area, that my insurance went down. So that's a good news kind of thing, like for our specific area in general, for Ocala.
Yes. I will say that people living up north that moved down to even Ocala are like, wow, insurance is so expensive. But it's different when you're moving from down south to up north, like north of or North Florida. It does go down. There is a difference for sure.
I'm so judging the Tampa drivers. Like still, every time I go down there, I'm just like, oh my God. Like when I'm driving, I'm just like, oh my God, we are not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah.
We're spoiled here. We're spoiled here with people. Like, for example, this is actually a really nice thing to say about Ocala. You've probably noticed this for a long time on 301. There's been like they've been doing some construction work, maybe because of this one of like the public service, like public roads thing that passed, the bill that passed in like nationally. So they've been doing construction work on 301 and they've had a whole lane closed for a long time and like coned off for a long time. And the good people, like a huge chunk of the lane, the good people of Ocala, there's never a problem. When I'm constantly on that road going wherever I'm going, like everybody just lets somebody in, like nobody makes this whole drama, like nobody's having to slam on the brakes and make an episode there where people in Tampa do that, like going from I-75 to I-4 on the regular. You will get cut off from going on I-75 to I-4. People in Tampa will attest. Like, but here, like everybody just lets you in. Like it is not a drama point that a huge major road has like a whole bunch of the lane cut off. Like people are cool.
Yeah.
Like go Ocala.
But I do my very best to stay far, far, far away from I-4. It's not meant for me.
Oh, yeah. I do stop to grace I-4 sometimes. Yeah. But you just gotta use the GPS for I-4 because the GPS usually will tell you like when not to get on there. So that's helpful for me. Okay, awesome. So did we leave? I can't remember who went last.
So
Who's
I did mine, which was the insurance, just like being aware of what coverages you have. So I think you're on year 4.
Okay. So my 4, I'm flipping the order of what I had it is that when you're talking about Facebook groups and things like that, I have been seeing specifically on TikTok, people moving to Florida, and they're complaining that it's a really hard place to make friends. And so I just thought that that would be a really fun thing for us to just to chat about, in that, the same thing about what I said about get out of your house and go on adventures, because like if you can find groups of people who are into the kind of things that you are, I think if you have this belief that nobody's reaching out to you, nobody wants to be your friend, like you're just gonna like create more of that. But I think that there might be. It's a big melting pot, so Florida, and I feel like that's one of the best parts about it. So like no matter what you might be interested in, I met a lot of my best friends working, like at various jobs. Like a lot of my best friends, they were either in my neighborhood or they were working. So when you've lived here all your life, it's like I have an unfair advantage because I have all these like multi-decade long
Yeah.
relationships, friendships. But yeah, like just get out and about, like just reach out to the person who like, who you see on the internet sometimes, and you're just like, oh, you know what, like I feel like we have something in common. Like go to the networking events. That's how I met Bree. We met through the
I was gonna
chamber.
say, yeah, I was gonna say we're a perfect testament.
Exactly. Like just don't be afraid to like put yourself out there and like say hi to people and comment in the Facebook groups and just be open to it. And like you don't need to have like 4,000 new friends if you don't want them. Like I'm kind of that person. I'm like I'm good. Like I have my circle.
Yeah.
I'm happy. But yeah, like any tips that you have for making friends in when you're new in town?
So I think the biggest thing, going back to it, and a lot of people may not have Facebook, but there's a lot of groups on Facebook, tons, it's endless. And then there's different things called, like for instance, a girl that's the marketing director of the Chamber of Economic Partnerships here in Ocala, she runs the Things to Do in Ocala, which is a Facebook page.
Ah,
And she'll
okay.
tell you everything there is to do, like in Ocala, a specific month of what's going on. So she'll give you ideas of what you can go out and do. Just being a part of different things. If you're retired and nonprofits really talk to you, getting a part of a nonprofit, getting to know those people, volunteering at different things. If you like animals, World Equestrian Center is always looking for volunteers. Different places are looking. So it's just finding a way to get out there, and there's something for everyone.
That's
Everyone.
true. That's true. Yes. And like also just, when figuring out what your path, Bree and I did a video where we talked about our favorite things to do in Ocala. That
Yeah.
might be, go back to that one. I'll it was I think the first one that you and I did together. So the first
Yeah.
time you see our pictures together, and that's the first one. So that's a good place to start. Yeah.
Yeah, but I definitely think just getting out there, because I met you at one networking event and I was talking to somebody and they were like, you have to meet Caitlin. She's an interior designer. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. I do real estate. I need to know her. So,
That was nice. That was nice of them. Yeah, that was nice of them.
yes.
So what's your fourth one?
So my fourth one was the insurance. So I'm on my fifth one, and I felt like this last one here was just necessary. And it's just when you're relocating to Florida, you really need to have a realtor that's going to give you the red carpet experience, be there for you, hold your hand. It's a new place, a new state, a new city. So just really being able to explain to you what different areas there are and what you and your family are looking for when you are relocating. So every time I have people that are relocating from different states, I always try my best to ask questions like, what do you and your husband like to do? What are you and your kids like to do? What do you like to do? What kind of job are you moving into? That way I can better find the neighborhood that you want, or get to know you better. That way, when you come down here, you really are happy. I have a lot of people that really don't ever see the house until they get here. So it's a lot on me to make sure that when they move here, they like it and they enjoy themselves and they're happy. But it's definitely an important factor. There's a lot of realtors out there, but making sure you have the right one that's going to give you that experience and make sure that you're happy when you get here is super important.
Yeah. I just feel like you are a Swiss Army knife in that lane because you're just so approachable but knowledgeable. Like your balance of approachable and knowledgeable, it's excellent. And she's grown up in this area, people. Like no one's gonna know this area like better than you. So um,
Yes,
I
hate
love
it.
it. I love it. Okay. Well, my fifth one is that it's not as good and smart as a choice as you, not as strategic as what you just said, but I was gonna say as a designer, I do not judge you for wanting to go out of your way to make your house feel cooler. Like I've helped people pick out, tile that goes through every single room of their house. It is so common. People who put ceiling fans in every single room in their house. Guess what, girl? I am not judging you. Like, it is important to stay cool. It is important to have different levels of climate control, humidity control. Like, I do not judge that. You can have a very stylish home and still be able to feel physically cool in it, and your animals that you keep inside as well. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's something that. And if you are interested in getting additional like moving and real estate tips, our last video, like this is actually a really fantastic series if you're moving to Florida to see like the things to do in Ocala. Then the moving tips, the real estate tips video that we did. I think it was called list like a realtor and move like a designer. That video
Yeah.
was really fun. And then getting down to this one where we're getting into the specifics of Florida. So that's a great place to start. And if you are interested, like after you've moved here, after you've worked with Bree, if you're interested in doing some design work and getting some help there, feel free to book a free 15-minute call with me. I always have that in my bio link tree. You just take the service match quiz and you're in. We'll have a chitty chat. It's really fun, and we'll connect you
Yeah.
if services make sense. So, yeah,
Well,
lots of different things.
I actually did, for those of you guys watching, me and Caitlin went back and forth because a lot of people don't know this, but I am building a house. So we're very excited about that, but it's a lot of decisions we're having to make. And the fact that Caitlin works hand in hand with other builders, she's been able to help me figure out the kind of texture I should put on my walls, which I know may sound ridiculous to some, but it's a big deal. So all the little nook and cranny things that we're having to think about and discuss, you've been very helpful. So I wanted to give you a shout out for that
Thank
too.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, yeah, this is a great video. And then also I wanted to prompt, in the next video, starting in the next video, I'm going to start having a little hot seat part of the video every time at the beginning, like a realtor hot seat, where I ask questions that either I have or my boyfriend might have, or anybody who comments, like anything that's like a hot, like time sensitive real estate kind of question. I'm going to put our good friend Bree here on the hot seat, and we're going to ask her them, and she's going to come back with us and show off her Swiss Army knife abilities of how knowledgeable she is, and we're
Yeah.
going to all learn something along the way and feel even more confident in the real estate market here.
Yes, yes, I'm excited for that. And also, I've been kind of posting a little bit here and there. If you guys have topics that you want us to discuss that are important to you, or you're moving and you have questions about, or what colors in, what colors not in with this fall coming our way, definitely just ask it, and we'll make sure that whenever month we do our videos that we make sure we talk about it.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much, Bree, for joining me today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and I look forward to meeting with you in our next video.
Yes, me too. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. And if you have any questions, just let us know.
Bye.
Bye.